Welcome everyone in the audience to the second ever podcast hosted by Blackout Hicom. In this podcast, we will be discussing the topics which I have typed it in in the podcast channel. So, starting on with the topics itself, the first topic is BO's Blackout's third year anniversary. So, first of all, congratulations to us, I guess, for apparently surviving 3 years of being an faction in the BRM5 space. Considering there were many factions before us which don't exist anymore, and it's you know sort of a special thing if you look at it, to be honest, because most factions usually run out of strength within like a year or so. Like, people who initially start the factions are the ones who initially end up losing it. And apparently Blackout managed to go past that layer 3 times, to be honest. And yeah, it's quite an achievement if you really look at how other factions work out. But yeah, but otherwise, yeah, it's kind of a good achievement for us, to be honest. We have managed to survive through many leaderships and stuff, I guess. I mean, in the past of Blackout, there has been a lot of stuff, to be honest. The whole SASR stuff, like, it just keeps getting wild, but yeah.
Rip
Uh,
Sester.
yeah. I'll not dig into Blackout's history according to how much I saw it myself, but yeah, if anyone is interested, I guess I'll make that a topic in another podcast. But yeah, for now, it's I'm not going to tap into it. But yeah, with us completing our third year as an official faction in PL5 and throughout our time, Hicom will be doing few special events on their own. We didn't really knew that the whole anniversary thing will be coming up, so we didn't really plan anything special, and some of us are busy with exams and stuff. But yeah, uh, personally, what I'm doing for the third year anniversary is introducing a limited accred called an expeditionary accred. It's pretty much a limited accred which I'll be hosting quite a lot throughout this week, and it's pretty much just if you know the game Antarctica, it's pretty much just a hobby game with I guess reaching the South Pole, stuff like that. And considering I've played way too many times in it, this expeditionary accred will pretty much be just if people manage to beat me in reaching the South Pole, then yeah, it's most probably just going to be game nights and so on. But yeah, if people manage to beat me in that game, then they'll get the limited time accred. And by limited, I actually mean limited. That just means I won't host it ever, like in the future, or won't allow to host anyone to host that thing. Trick, I don't know about that. Currently, I have like 69 times, 69 times when I've done it. Uh, Okay, Nutkach is asking that if the accred will be removed after a period of time, to which I would say no, to be honest, because if I'm making a limited accred, I think it should survive through Blackout's term at least. So, like, as long as Blackout is alive, I'll try to keep the accred alive too. Uh, just as a thing for our third year anniversary, since we didn't really plan anything special, like, this is just a part of the special thing which I'm doing. Uh, yeah, maybe as Axa said, it might be a possibility of getting once every year. Uh, Otherwise, let me just pin that real quick. Someone just do the pinning of question stuff. I'll try to move on with the topics and so on. Yeah. Uh, Anyways, other Hicom have their own ideas. Currently, according to what I know, Two-Thirds is planning a conquest event. Would you like to talk about it, Two-Thirds, or would you just do it instead?
The general idea is that I'm going to divide up the Ronograd open world map into a bunch of sectors, and certain compounds within the sector will act as like the capture point. So if you wanted to hold the Depot Peninsula, you just had to capture Depot, and I'll have some RGE moderators to be the judge of that. If it's being contested, then no one's holding it. If someone has captured, it'll add up to their total land area, something like what Hydra did, but it's actually being kept track of instead of just some random team picking up the points at the end of it and then winning based off that. And then, yeah, I'm still working on kind of the rules of it, and hopefully I can get that on a document, and I'm looking to get that at the end of the week.
Alright, so Todos has his own plan. Currently, AXA is giving his exams, so he won't really be involved in special events, but uh, we'll most probably try to make out the gap. But yeah, if you see any other special events except the ones we have mentioned, then it's most probably due to the anniversary hype. But yeah, moving on to the next topics. So this is the whole anniversary stuff. Status on the RGE department. Alright, so if most of you guys, in case people who didn't attend the last podcast, RGE department is something I have been working on for quite a while, and currently I have the basic idea and the structure ready, but the current RGE department, the way I have planned it, is sort of like an economy in its own. So this in this way we were most probably, at least in my idea, we were most probably aiming to like earn earn Robux in a way. So like, so we can actually just fund stuff regarding private servers and so on and so on. But yeah, RGE department initially, the initial plan with it is to like be able to earn money for Blackout and the developers who are posting their builds and stuff like that. And right now, currently we are at a stage where, since this is being done in PL5, in BRM5, a game owned by PL5, PL5 being Platinum 5 group, I don't I don't really know the legalities if we make an economy out of it. Like, supposing if I set up a market inside their game, they can just be like, dude, this is our game, we need a profit too. So just to avoid the whole legalities type of stuff, I have already approached one of the team members of PL5 regarding this. I'm pretty sure this is also new to them. This is also new to them, so I haven't really gotten a reply yet. But after I get a solid reply regarding it, that will pretty much be the statement of where the future RG department will go. It will either be an economy thing where developers will be actually able to earn Robux and so on. Otherwise, it will just become the plain old RGE department where people just do stuff, I guess, but not really get paid officially. It's a weird boundary, but yeah, I'm trying to figure it out as soon as possible with the whole PL5 thing. But yeah, that's pretty much the status on the RGE department as of now. Uh, Otherwise, moving on to the third topic, possible deletion of Lore department and the replacement in idea of how future Lore may be made. So recently, regarding the whole Lore department, there has been many issues regarding this in the past itself. Like, if I give you the past of how Department of Lore has worked, it's pretty much been, it started off well, it just abruptly ends, reset. It starts off well, it abruptly ends, reset. It starts off well, it does well, and then just reset. Purely because as every single leadership changes, they just hit the reset button, and currently it's an issue. So, uh, due to this, Department of Lore has possibly never managed to provide us proper constant law, due to which we in Hicom decided to delete the department itself, and uh, most probably change how the creation of law works. So this idea was initially thought to me, like suggested to me by Gaming Estate. I believe he's still M1 in the server, but yeah, this idea was initially suggested to me by Gaming Estate, and many people down the line was told about it, like said it. So it pretty much made me think that if Department of Lore isn't really working as a good department, then we might as well take the whole lore creation process out of the department and have Hicom pretty much give the people a basic. So supposing if we are creating a lore and if we want it to go constantly, like a constant flow, as in first part, second part, third part, fourth part, then Hicom will most probably regulate the whole process of keeping the linearity between events and keeping the linearity between events and its flow, and the whole lore creation process will be most probably handed out to the people itself. So supposing if in the future we are going to create lore, then we will most probably approach NCOs first, and if uh, NCOs are creating a proper lore, which we can pretty much like start out and host it ourselves, then that specific NCO will be credited with like making the lore and being part of the whole lore making process and so on. Rewards are not really discussed out yet, but there will be rewards for them too. But yeah, if we are not satisfied with the stuff NCOs have made, we'll most probably shift to COs, or we'll most probably shift to the public of Blackout by setting few requirements and requisites for those law. So supposing if we are allying with a faction for a law, we'll involve them too, and so on and so on. So yeah, we are kind of keeping the whole lore making process an open-ended thing, so we don't have to just specifically go to a department which is constantly dying to like make us constant low. It will most probably a thing which through each Hicom it will be managed, and if any future Hicom shows up, then they will also be told to follow the same set of rules as previous Hicom have did in terms of like lore making. So yeah, that's the whole general idea regarding what we have planned for lore making. So so constant lore doesn't really die off with the departments. Recently Arcane was working with the lore department, and initially it was going well, but during the whole mid phase people just didn't really work, I think, and Arcane was also sort of pissed about it, so I just nuked the whole department. And only after this the whole suggestions regarding the deletion of the department came in, and when I thought about it, it made sense. And I've already discussed this with other Hicom, and they also have agreed regarding this. So yeah, that's pretty much what we are going to do for any future lore operation in Blackout, which will be soon hosted anytime. Uh, Otherwise, that's pretty much it regarding that topic. Moving on to the next topic, possible new Hicoms in the coming week. Uh, I'm pretty sure most of you guys already know regarding the F1 for H1 thing. I can't really confirm the name of the candidates, but we are considering few possibilities. It can be specifically F1, it can be not. Who knows? Only we know. I'm just trying to be cocky right now. Anyways, possible new Hicom. So if you see one person in within one person as H1 or two people as H1, don't be shocked. And just so you know, except in Hicom ranks, except the H5 rank, there can be many people within that same rank as long as they're eligible for it. So yeah, if you see multiple people as H1, don't be shocked. It's a thing which happens rarely, but yeah, there will be few new Hicom showing up within a week or two. We haven't really discussed regarding the candidates yet properly, but we have a certain amount of candidates which we will be considering sooner or later. So all Hicom currently present, I believe you already know who the candidates are, and we will be discussing regarding them sooner or later. But yeah, I hope that I get responses regarding those people sooner or later. But yeah, moving on to the next topic. Oh yeah, it's not really a topic, but yeah. Uh, uh, the last topic which I'm most probably going to talk about is uh, things I'm working on in pretty much the coming days or weeks. So things I'm pretty much currently working on is uh, currently issue raised by Neon like a few days ago was things not being set in stone. So this issue specifically is like not really a major issue, but let's just say that certain things in Blackout has been like passed over on generations. So like people who reach a certain rank usually know what certain rules apply regarding every single thing, and these things are not really said anywhere, and people who might be crossing this line won't really know if they're crossing the line regarding this. So currently I'm working on few documents which pretty much goes over every single part of Blackout and explains everything in detail for people who might be mistaken regarding certain stuff. So like uh, as an example, let's just say the L13 rank being granted events access role. Now technically you officers or NCOs aren't really supposed to hand out the events access role unless and until they verify the person itself. So if the person has sped past, they don't really get the thing itself, but they have to consult Hicom regarding it. And if a person is not really eligible for events access, then they don't get it. This whole process has been skipped many times, and I don't really think anyone even knew about it. This is what I exactly meant by things not being set in stone. So referring to this, there will be many things which I will be overall creating documents about each and everything. This most probably won't be available to the public itself, like at least in the public domain, where normal contracted can just easily get the link to it or anything. But this will most probably be available to departments, divisions, and pretty much the working side of Blackout. So yeah, this is something I'm going to start working on in few days. And regarding another thing which I'm going to work on soon enough, sorry about that. Regarding another thing which I'm going to work on is revamping the BT being basic training. Might be a shocker for the Hicom present here, but it's literally something I discussed with someone else yesterday. Sammy, a sort of known member in Blackout, proposed me with an idea of revamping the BT. He had few good points. I'll elaborate on few, and it pretty much makes the current BT a bit more alive. I haven't really discussed out the specifics or thought about the specifics yet, but for the Hicom attending right now, I'll just say that I'll cook up a proper event BT and discuss the whole process regarding it. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole workload of Platter on me right now. Otherwise, my rest of my work is still just overseeing divisions and so on and so forth. So yeah, overseeing divisions and departments. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I believe. Uh, any other Hicom want to talk about anything else? I mean, if you have anything, just say it. But otherwise, we'll move on to the questions asked by the public.
Well, in terms of some stuff that I'm going to do, I'm going to look at making that BO faction hub, which I'm still waiting from Axis input on kind of the basis of it, the guideline of it, and then we'll start working on that. probably with Javi too. Hopefully we can start getting some more joint events in June and throughout the summer because Yandere came back. So now our foreign affairs department head is going to be active. And if he says he's going to put in the hours, he will. Then we should see some results. Can't promise anything yet, but hopefully 1 to 2 joint events per week.
Alright. Jason, responding to your DM, candidates for future Hicom, like new Hicom. I know it's a bit late, but I just saw your DMs. Uh, Alright. Currently, I don't really think other Hicom, they have their own work going on right now. AXA currently has exams, but he's sort of still contributing. According to the chats I saw, he's working on the faction hub along with Javi to set up the channels and so on and so forth. And Javi is already managing the whole server stuff, like server channels and so on. So yeah, otherwise I don't think there's anything else. Lumps regarding the joining of EC. Uh, not every Hicom is like on board regarding it, purely because it's not really our current focus with like groups aligning with us, and it's better for now that if I remember our last conversation correctly, we had one specific disagreement regarding how far the server rules apply, which according to what you said isn't really good good for us to like even move on regarding it. So for now I would say just don't think about it, and if we in the future introduce subgroups of Blackout, then I guess that's your chance to show up. But for now I wouldn't really say BOEC will be involved officially in Blackout for now. But yeah. Alright. With that, I'll conclude the present topics regarding the podcast. Right now, we will be switching to answering the questions which have been pinned by moderators regarding people who are asking questions. I'll start from the bottom. So yeah. If you have any questions, I suggest any genuine questions, put it in podcast questions, and if it's a valid question, it will get pinned and we'll answer it. So yeah, starting off with the first question by Epic Gamer. Do you think that the split up of the nav and free fall has gone well or no? Regarding the split, I think, at least this is my opinion, I am not really talking regarding other Hicom, but yeah. It's I'm pretty sure that the split between nav and freefall has gone well. The distribution among officers, like actually hosting it, may be still murky a bit, but currently I've taught enough officers like how to host the navigation and freefall accred, and I don't really see anyone complaining regarding the split. I mean, most of the complaints are purely because they don't get the free fall accred now, and only get the navigation accred if they previously owned the combined accred. But otherwise, I think splitting up of nav and free fall is just let's just say adding a bit more of a twist regarding their own specific thing. So nav is purely focused on nav and free fall is purely focused on free fall. We are not combining it and having to like lose certain elements of both of those. I mean, in the past, free fall and nav were a separate thing, and it worked out normally as the combined version of it. So it's not really anything new, to be honest. So yeah, at least in my opinion, it has worked out. But if any other Hicom wants to speak regarding this, they can.
Nah, nothing to add.
Alright, so with accents have being silent regarding it, I'll move on to the next question. What is happening with Navacred? Asked by Broody. Broody, can you please elaborate regarding it? It's what do you mean by what is happening with Navacred? I'm pretty sure the revamps have already occurred. Broody, if do you have a mic? I can. If you have a mic, I can put you up to request to talk, so you can say it. Uh, does anyone see? There you invite to speak.
Okay, first of all, hello. So basically, what I meant with this question is, I don't see the navigation cred being hosted often. I haven't seen it getting hosted anywhere since it got removed or basically split apart. It could be wrong with that, but I don't know what is happening with the navigation cred since it's not getting hosted.
Alright. In case if it's not being hosted, I haven't really seen if the offices I taught the navigation accurate to are really hosting it or not. But in case if it's not being hosted, then uh, this week itself I'll pretty much go behind active CEOs, poking them with a pitchfork just to host it. Uh, I mean, initially I think I taught like six CEOs, not really six CEOs. Oh, wait a minute, four or five actual commissioned officers and two OITs, who I think still are OIT, or might have failed their OIT. But yeah, if I'll check on the details if navigation accredit is being hosted enough or not. But if it's not being hosted, then yeah, I'll take out the pitchfork and keep poking CEOs until they start hosting it.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I know it's a requirement for divisions too. It's really an integral part. So yeah, yeah, I'll get behind CEOs regarding it. We still can't really balance with like CEOs hosting enough trainings and enough unique events in their own way. But yeah, as long as a decent amount of CEOs are active, I guess we can pretty much manage out. Yeah. Anyways, I hope that answers your question. Are you sneezing, two-thirds?
My bad, yo. Man, I'm so used to having a button on the side of my headphones to just mute.
Alright. Yeah, I assume that's pretty much it, Brody.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Alright. Just step out of the stage real quick. Alright. Moving on to the next question. Uh, Let me remove that. Is the messages in the bar going to be regarding an upcoming large lower operation? What specific message are you talking about, Neon? Can you link? Can you link it real quick? Axel linked it. Oh, that. Neon, regarding that, I have zero clue regarding it. Two-thirds didn't really brief any one of us in command discussion. Uh, if if you still want to clear your doubt, then I would say talk it out with two-thirds. I mean, two-thirds is here right now, so would you like to
Yeah,
elaborate on it?
I will assist you in the process of fixing that one for sure.
Alright. So that's pretty much two-thirds comment regarding this whole thing.
We'll keep it within the BOWBOC Hicom only. This doesn't concern the general contracted.
Alright, good enough. Criminal, what happened with the law department? If you're asking about the recent law department under Arcane, it initially started off well. Then the members, I don't really know the specifics regarding this, but initially members just stopped working on lore, and then Arcane also couldn't really do his work with people not doing their work, so the department just died. And one day when I actually decided to check on them, like how things are going, they were already dead. And it's I can't really do anything regarding dead departments. I can't just pull bodies from one part of blackout just to push them over here. So yeah, that's why the whole decision was made regarding keeping low a sort of Hicom management thing. So even if even if lore events die for a certain time, at least we can still stay consistent regarding the lore with Hicom managing it, rather than being purely dependent on a department, uh, going constantly dead over time. So yeah, that's pretty much what has happened with the lore department. Uh, are you referring to the stuff I sent about Factor, uh, regarding the foundings, etc.? Wait a minute. What exactly are you talking about, Rudy? Just request to speak again if you if you want to clear this doubt. Alright.
Okay. So I don't know. I think you have seen it. If not, then my bad. But I think Axe has seen it, and Javi too. So I sent in FA discussions. FactProf basically did an announcement with planning war, something like war competition, something like that, and also who does the best trailer, which faction does the best trailer, will get a prize. Basically, we are doing some competitions where we can get prizes, and yeah, that's pretty much my question. If you, because you were talking about foundings, etc., for RGE builders, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
Um, First, yeah, okay. If it actually happens, I'm sure Blackout will be interested in participating, and considering we need a new trailer, it could be a good motivational push. Though, I think we should only really think about it and start actively working for it when it's
Once
actually
it gets
announced.
implemented.
Because right now it's just FactProf was dead for like half a year now, like 3 months.
Yeah.
And okay, now they got some new stuff out, but I don't know if it's actually gonna happen, because
Yeah.
I'll see. If it happens, for sure, we'll definitely go and work for those. But I'll actually wait until proper price and everything is set, because it's not worth
Yeah.
the effort and then it just gets cancelled,
Yeah, just like the other 2 months.
alright. So
Okay, pretty much.
yeah. Referring to the same question, if they actually show a promising event itself, we'll definitely be involved in it. But yeah, considering the past of them being dead for half a year nearly, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's still a bit shady, but if they actually pull it off, then and actually start it off, then yeah, we'll obviously be interested in it. So that clears that question. Criminal again. Do you think that the problem of the law department is getting caused by the head of the department, or by the members of it, or the lack of quota? If the problem is coming from there, have you thought about changing that? The thing is, criminal, for anything to work, you need dedicated people for it. So if people are just joining lore for the sake of creating lore one day, and the next day they just decide to not create lore, then at that point it's just useless. So like with anything working out properly in like at least an online space, because this isn't really a IRL job, we can't really tell people that your life payment depend on it. But like if anyone works for anything in an online space, they have to be somewhat dedicated to it. If they're not dedicated to it, it's pretty much destined to die at a point. Like pretty good example will be divisions at this point. If an M6 doesn't care about handling the division, then the division will sooner or later die. If the officers of a division are not really interested in it, it will sooner or later die. So answering your questions, it's pretty much all three parts of it. There wasn't really a lack of quota. I mean, technically you can't even enforce a certain amount of quota for like lore making, purely because it's literally just creating documents. But if people weren't really just active at that time, that can be technically considered as inactive, but so on and so forth. But yeah, if anything needs to work out, the foundations of it needs to be strong, and the foundations can be multiple or single, based on whatever it is. Divisions divisions can only be strong if A, their leader is strong, B, their officers are strong, see their internal structure is strong, and few other minor details which are not really that important. But if any one of these three pillars fall, then the whole division falls. It's pretty much an inevitable thing. And since this is an online space, I can't really go around saying that you are supposed to do this, you are supposed to do that. It's purely just an interest based work thing, and it's not even that we pay them with anything specific. It's more of just, as long as people are interested in creating stuff, they keep doing it. So that's why we decided to pull out lore as a department, just pretty much removing it and making it sort of an open-ended thing, so Hicom can pretty much ask any section of Blackout, either the public or the NCOs or officers or any section of Blackout, to like create a lore which can be applied to like whatever lore we have going on, and so on. So yeah, I hope that clears the question. Does any other Hicom have anything regarding this?
Oh,
Alright, I'll take Axel's and Javis silence as a no too. Moving on to the next question by Neon. How about creating just the operation document? The law can be brought up during the actual operation, and the report maybe. And the report or maybe another document can compile all of the law of the continued operations. This won't limit the hosts of or department of law from thinking of law, and all they will have to do. Regarding this, Neon, I feel like it's a good idea, but like usually how lore operations work, or at least lore operations used to work, is like they present the lore, like at least the initial lore of how like things will happen and why they are happening. That's like the whole start of the operation, and at the end of the operation, there initially there usually wasn't anything, like at least to how I saw the old law documents. It was usually just a story of why we were destroying stuff, and then it was just a briefing of how we were destroying stuff, and then it was pretty much left open-ended. Like the story didn't really catch up with it, and then whenever we did another law operation with another faction, it just sort of went with it. If there were minor details which connected the whole stories, I didn't really see any. I haven't really seen any old law documents, but yeah, that is a good idea. And once we actually start focusing on the lore operations side of things, then I think we'll maybe implement it. But yeah, we'll see how the initial start goes on. I get your idea, Neon, but currently lore operations isn't really our focus right now. With two-thirds working on strengthening our foreign affairs with Yandre. With him working on foreign affairs, we'll most probably focus on strengthening our foreign affairs, and then starting events related to foreign affairs. So yeah. Alright. Moving on to the next question. Quibble isn't a podcast for an anniversary supposed to have a more celebratory vibe? Why does this feel so boring? Quibble, I don't really know if it's just my voice or persona, but this is literally just let's just say our second ever podcast being hosted. Like initially when podcast even started, it was literally hosted once, I believe, and it just never got even hosted. So this is like the second time Blackout has ever even gotten a proper podcast. I'm sorry if you are not feeling the same celebratory vibe, but it's just a podcast of people talking, not really people but Hicom talking about stuff. So I'm sorry if it's not really bringing the celebratory vibe for you, and I hope whatever events we end up doing within the server ends up bringing that vibe. But yeah, sorry if this doesn't cut your plate, I guess. Moving on to the next question. Will the use of artificial compounds be utilized for patrols to add additional objective? Jason, in terms of treasury, no, but in terms of current patrols, yes. people can do whatever they want in patrols, like custom elements. In terms of custom elements, they can do those things, but like not many officers go through the effort of either creating the custom elements or just not utilizing custom compounds. So like it's more currently it's more based on officers to like actually add those elements, but otherwise in terms of treasury, like having a standardization for all types of custom elements is a bit of a hefty thing. Like it can get pretty weird. So like in terms of treasury, it most probably will never come up, but in terms of current patrols, officers can include artificial compounds and add additional objectives. It's just up to their creativity. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Answering King Kitty's question, if there is a divisional officer in a lower time zone, there is meaning there is any people in their time, should they have less quota? That is the question for the division M6. M6 is basically because looking at the situation, if I was an M6 myself and had that problem, I would pretty much keep the same amount of quota for them. But if they can't make ends meet, like supposing if a divisional officer has as an example 3 events per week, and since there aren't enough people in their time zone, they were able to host only like 1 event a week. The M6 of the division can pretty much see this as a problem and either tell that officer to get more people from the time zone or excuse that officer from the quota itself for that week's quota at least. If this is an issue in BOW, then I think Broody is still attending this. But yeah, if this is an issue in your division, I believe this is to be taken up with your M6. If otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it, I believe. If a proper solution isn't being made by your M6, then you can obviously approach the divisional officer. Broody, I don't want the podcast to become BW talk. You can talk about it. You can explain it later. But yeah, I am just answering King Kitty's question. So yeah, we'll just talk regarding this after the podcast. So yeah, hopefully that answers it, King Kitty. But yeah, if you still have any issues regarding whatever decision your M6 makes, then you can obviously approach the divisional overseer as a mediator, or pretty much any Hicom, to be honest. But since divisions are more of my thing, it's better to approach me. So yeah, moving on. Why not just go back and combine them and then just add a different accreditation? The thing is, Leon, recently when the poll was made, people wanted to be separate, and now if you make another poll, people would want it back. Now at this point, I am not going to play ping pong with the structure of Blackout itself and have to go through the effort of constantly changing accreds and so on and so forth. Like as of now, if any questions or points are being made of combining the accred or changing the accred as a whole, I'm literally just going to ignore it purely because people change their mind way too oftenly. Same thing with the standard same issue happened with like us changing the standard blackout uniform for the contracted. At least we went from having the Singapore one to having the G4 combat one, G4 combat Varicam black one. I hope that's the correct name. But yeah, we changed up the uniform. People wanted that change, and then few days later suddenly every single person just went against it. So like public opinion in Blackout changes constantly. So unless and until for now it won't really get changed, but in the future maybe, depending on the points raised for like either the combination or keeping it separate. Based on that, yeah. I hope that clears up the question. Moving on to the next question asked by Jason. Why don't you do commission based low writers instead, like a one-time writer? If you mean commission as in rewards, yes, we can do it, but technically AP attendance points, in my opinion, isn't really a good enough of a reward to like people who actually contribute stuff to Blackout itself. with stuff like this. This is where the whole RGE department comes in with their own economy and stuff like that. But yeah, uh, if we get a proper Robux like income, then obviously Robux payments will be involved. But as of now, we can't really risk losing money and not even gaining anything just to like get temporary benefits of stuff for now, as of now. So yeah, having a one-time writer as a free option is literally just our only option as of now. So yeah, hopefully that clears up your question. I'll conclude the podcast within 10 minutes, so I'll try to speed run any remaining questions. Will standard blackout members receive different uniforms as they progress within the ranks as an incentive? Okay, the thing about uniforms is it's representing a faction. It's if we just make it a chameleon thing where every single rank they just change uniforms, then it's going to be a very weird thing, to be honest, at least in my opinion. Divisions already have their own unique set of uniforms, so I believe that if people are interested in having different uniforms, then they can just join a division. But in terms of like normal contracted, they will have a standard uniform purely because it's representing blackout, and having a different set of uniforms for each different rank doesn't really make sense. The only standardization between like different uniform for different rank is literally just between L0 to L2. After a person reaches L3, they get the G4 uniform, but before that they wear the PMC uniform. That's literally just the distinction between a new member and a decently active member. So yeah, I know Jason, but like that pretty much will just, it's not really a benefit even if you look at it, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, even if it's just one more uniform, it doesn't really add the whole benefit factor to it. So yeah, even if you make it, it doesn't really change anything. People don't really care about uniforms, to be honest. It's just a standardized look, to be honest. That's pretty much it, at least in my opinion. Even if you add it, I don't think people would actually end up using it, because if they're in a division, they would prefer you representing that division rather than having to wear a uniform which their contracted rank allows, pretty much. So yeah. Moving on to the other question, mention sort of rules and regulation document that people have known from time to time. It would include not really every rule and regulation, Neon. Like most of the important rules and regulations are already in their own channels, but this will most probably include that too, like a small mention of that you can if you want to like see the main thing, refer to this document or this channel. But what I'm creating will mention the small things which people tend to miss out over time. So yeah, that's usually that part. Answering the last question, I believe. Wait, let me read. Can we actually propose Lore department back to its original use rather than having it literally just there for operations only? Back then, during my time in Lore department, actual stuff was being put out in order to provide an interesting story on what Blackout was, what it did, what were the people doing, etc., and also with Lore for operations. So why can't we have Lore department do that again, unlike whatever the hell is being done? Or lumps regarding the whole repurposement of Lore department, I'm pretty sure this doesn't aim for like operations only. And in terms of like Blackout Lore, yes, it will be used for Blackout Lore too. But if any CEO wants to like have a certain lore and wants to outsource that lore, like lore for lore document from someone else, then they can obviously ask NCOs or ask other CEOs who are more interested in it. I'm just keeping it as an open-ended thing right now, so pretty much Hicom, if they want to create a Blackout lore, they will ask around different departments of Blackout itself for the public. And if any CEO officer is interested to like wanting a lore but they are not making it themselves, then they can still go around asking NCOs or the normal public of Blackout to like not really the public side of things, but like they can still ask NCOs regarding it or other COs if they want a specific lore made by someone else. But yeah, currently it's just an open-ended thing. It can be flexible regarding whatever situation you are providing regarding it. So yeah, that's pretty much what we are aiming for, to be honest. Flexibility in the system itself. So whatever situation may come up in the future itself, then the current rules should be supporting for it, rather than straight out just declining it purely because someone stated something, a specific thing in the past, and then now people are apparently enforcing it. So yeah, we are trying to like keep most of the rules flexible enough to like allow certain things, but it will only limit to certain things. We won't really go wild enough to like allow every single thing, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty much it regarding the whole lore regarding how the new lore making process would go on. And I believe that's pretty much it. If lore is being removed, what about a Department of Lore volunteer type role? Gives people wanting lore a role, wanting to create lore, I believe, wanting to create lore a role ping to see. The thing with that is lore entertainment. We can still do that the way we have planned it right now. So like, if people in NCOs are interested in making the lore, then we'll most probably approach them. But if none of the NCOs create a proper lore, then we'll most probably approach the public itself. And if any public is actually interested in like the whole lore making process, then I guess they can sign up to become an NCO. But that in its soul is a whole different thing of like forcing someone to join NCO just to make lore. But yeah, it depends on what who we are approaching, to be honest. So like, if we specifically want to approach NCOs, we will specifically approach NCOs, but I think we will most probably keep it to the public itself, depending on whatever the situation is. So yeah, if we approach the public, then public will get the chance to show their lore and stuff. And if any person shows like actual good qualities for like creating good lore, and if they seem interested in like creating the whole lore and stuff like that, the whole process of it, then maybe we will get a selective group of people to work on lore and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it purely depends on people who are interested and stuff like that. I can't even with the department and stuff, things didn't really work out. So having an official system itself doesn't seem to be working out. So currently, if a selective group of people are interested in making lore, then we'll most probably make a role of what you are saying, people who are interested in making lore and so on and so forth. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, I may not have explained it much well, but yeah, hopefully you understood what I'm trying to say. Alright, last question of the day. I'm not going to answer anything else because it's nearly going to be an hour, and I don't want it to be much more than an hour for now. So yeah, last question asked by Jason. Are we able to make the loss of air vehicles less punishing, so that event source won't have to worry as much as being able to use vehicles? Yeah, the thing about that, Jason, the current prices of vehicles is based on IRL prices, or somewhat around that price itself. I can't really change it purely because officers can't maintain their vehicles. It's not really only the officers. That specific responsibility of vehicle safety goes to the divisions themselves. If divisions can't keep the vehicle safe, then what is the point of them being in that division? If they can't ensure the safety of that vehicle, there's not really any point. Glitch losses and so on and so forth, like losses which happens due to the fault either by the game, like the FOV glitch, which forces helicopters to just drop to the ground. That kind of glitches are a thing which exists, and in IRS, at least the financial side of Blackout, we do consider these things with proof. If someone can provide proof that the vehicle was lost due to a glitch and not due to a human error, then yes, we accept it and we don't count vehicles as VDIA. But if people like popular example being few BAC members losing vehicles purely because they accidentally clicked the F button. For context, F button being the button to like enter and exit vehicles. If they ended up accidentally fat fingering it and losing the vehicle, then it's a human error. We can't really just justify a vehicle being lost purely because a vehicle being lost and not counted towards treasury due to an human error. If it's an human error, it's an human error. That's pretty much it. And in terms of like less punishing, like making it a bit more less punishable, then divisions do have their own treasuries which they can grind towards, like grind money. And with the new civilian reputation thing implemented, discount prices will be made for future purchases of vehicles. So that's sort of like bandaging the wound. But like, yeah, most of the vehicle responsibilities usually lie on the divisions themselves and how the officers manage those divisional personnel in their patrols. The thing about that, Jason, is people can easily abuse stolen vehicles, as that literally was an issue in the past treasury. Like currently I have kept it so that stolen vehicles aren't outright broken. I have already enforced a limit and already reduced the prices regarding vehicles. But yeah, the thing about stolen vehicles is people would obviously steal enough vehicles to like increase the profits of Blackout, but like the amount of effort people go through to steal vehicles is really less. It's literally much more less than actually clearing the compound and holding it. Like I'm not going to make an easy loophole around treasury with stolen vehicles in that way. Stolen vehicles are a thing which I still allow, but yeah, I'm not going to make it outright a loophole worthy enough to like get a shit ton of money in treasury purely because of it. Like in the past treasury itself, I have had to dump like more than 100 millions in stolen vehicles profit just so I regulate the money. Like it's a messy situation, but yeah, I'm trying to regulate the stolen vehicle profits as much as possible. But yeah, the money which I don't really throw away is money earned through patrol bonuses, because patrol bonuses are something which people actually earn in patrols, like holding locations for a certain amount of waves and not getting any KIA or VDIA. That's something people actually work towards. Stealing vehicles is not really a special thing, to be honest, at least in my opinion. So yeah, if you have any leading questions, I'll answer it after the podcast. I'm not going to keep the whole podcast regarding treasury stuff only. So yeah, if you are going to say anything, I'll answer it later after concluding the podcast. But yeah, otherwise, for now, alright. Let me just drink some water real quick. I have been blabbering for like 1 hour. Jason, monthly repair cost does exist, and even then stolen vehicles can't be like properly regulated, purely because like the maintenance cost of certain vehicles is like pretty much the IRL cost of how those vehicles are being maintained. But like the cost varies a lot, like from the buying price to like the maintenance price, it varies a lot. Like the Jeep may cost like 40,000 US dollars, but like maintaining a Jeep isn't really a $40 thing, $40,000 thing. It can literally be like $1,000 only to like maintain one Jeep, one $40,000 worth Jeep. So like the maintenance prices can't really regulate the stolen prices unless and until I just make a unless and until I just implement a custom number, which really takes away like the element of being as close to as a realistic system. But yeah, alright, I'm not answering any more questions anymore. Otherwise, for the people who showed up for the podcast, did I just say podcast? Oh god. Anyways, for the people who showed up to the podcast and listened till the end, thank you for showing up. I hope this this keeps going on regarding the podcast and stuff like that. But yeah, uh, I will be uploading the podcast sooner or later. But otherwise, thank you to everyone who showed up. I hope this podcast thing gives you a better idea of how Blackout functions, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope our future plans are also somewhat clear. We may not discuss it publicly, but yeah. Otherwise, that's pretty much it for the podcast. Thank you for every single person who shows up to these podcasts. I hope I can host another podcast next Sunday. But yeah, for now, this is pretty much it. Uh, Happy third anniversary of Blackout. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. For the people who just ask, for the people who are asking questions right now, I'll conclude the podcast and answer them. But otherwise, uh, this is the official end of the podcast. Thank you for attending. Otherwise, have a great day.